What's up, everybody? It's your pal Steve Witchell, founder of Cover Band Central, coming to you live on Tuesday, July 19th. It's 1 o'clock Central Time, my time here in New Orleans. If it's not that time equivalent in your time zone, you're watching the replay, but it's just as good. I have a special, incredible interview for you guys today. It is with Director of Artist Relations, Eli Kahn from Juke. And you're saying, Juke? What is Juke? Steve, I've never heard of Juke. Well, you're about to hear all about it. Making money for just about everybody in the music business has been a concern for a long time. And especially with us playing covers, playing in cover bands, or if you're just a solo artist, if you're busking, whatever, money has been a concern for a long time. And we as cover bands have been getting the same pay, essentially, for not only years, but decades. And it's a point of contention for everybody. It is very frustrating for musicians because club owners are never going to give us a raise. They're never going to say, hey, you guys are so good, we want to pay you more money. That just doesn't happen. So we really need to take control over this situation. And thanks to technology nowadays, we have the ability to do that. And one of the best ways to do that is with an app like this. It's called Juke. And I'm going to tell you briefly what it's about, and then we're going to bring Eli in. This is an app you put on your phone where people in the audience can scan a QR code, which you put up around the club. You could put it, or a bar, or wherever you're playing. You could hang it up, you could put it on the bar, you could put it on tables. And when they scan it, they're able to go to your Juke page and see your entire song list. You put your songs in there in advance, and then people can request from your list and tip you as well. Right there, live in real time. It is a game changer. It is the way that you can take control of your financial situation playing live. So you don't have to only rely on what the club pays you or rely on like cash tip jars. Now this, because a lot of people don't carry cash and a lot of people love using technology like this. I've used it myself. It's a lot of fun, not only for us as the band, but for people in the audience. It's a trip. So let's bring in Eli Kahn right now. There he is. Welcome.
Hello. Thanks for having me, Steve. Appreciate it. Happy
You
to be
got
here.
it, man. It's great to have you here. Anybody that's watching live too, by the way, come on in and say hello and tell us where you're from, and we will say hello back and perhaps even put you on the screen. And if you have any questions or comments for Eli during the course of this, just ask away, and we will address that right off the bat.
Awesome. Well, thanks for the introduction, and hello to everybody in the Cover Band Central community. Really glad to be here.
Yeah, thanks for being here, man. I love this thing that you came up with. I love it so much that I want everybody in CBC to have it and to use it, because this is the conversation that comes up all of the time about making money. How can we make more money? What can we do for ourselves? And this is the answer. This is the only answer, really. I mean, aside from trying to book better gigs and get paid more, which makes you have to work harder anyway, this is it. And in this case, you don't have to work harder. You have to work differently.
Yeah, basically, just to give a full summary, I think that our product and full platform allows you to monetize doing things that you're already doing on a regular basis without having to implement a whole lot of changes. So basically, we'll provide you with like a poster of some sort that's specific to your band, but it would look something like this, where you're able to send a tip, make a request. This QR actually takes people directly to your artist page. So that's one scan. There's no app download necessarily for the artist or for the listener. So you're just using the web just like you would if you were at a restaurant scanning a menu QR. Only in this situation, the artist is basically the chef, and you're setting prices for songs. You can add minimums to songs that you want to add specific minimums to, like say Happy Birthday or dare I say, Freebird or something of that ilk, where you can add a high minimum if you don't want to play it. And if you do get the request, you can make, I think, Steve, you had like $500 for Freebird.
I did, yeah, and that's something that I always kind of joke about at a gig. If somebody yells Freebird, which happens all the time, I'll say it right on the mic. Well, Freebird is $500, but now I can just put it right in the app and they can say it.
And to me, like, that's one of the added benefits, is not having to have like these little quippy engagements with the audience, where you can kind of focus on your own craft and they can scan and see what's available. Oftentimes I will be playing a gig, I'm a musician myself, and someone will make like 4 cover suggestions they want to hear. And if I don't know all 4 of them, I look like I'm kind of incompetent. But this way I can point to, my QR sign and say, all the songs I know are here, check them out. And, that usually stops that engagement. I can go back to playing, which is really what I want to be doing. And then they can get what they want out of it and tip me, which is also what I want. So it's a great way to monetize. And speaking of the tips, we don't take any percentage from the artist. So if someone tips you $10, you get $10. We add a consumer fee of 10%. So that $10 becomes $11 plus 2.9% for credit card fees and 30 cents per transaction. So it turns out to be about $11.62.
Right. So the band makes the money. The band doesn't have to worry about paying for an app or paying for or taking money out of the tips that they make. They get it all 100%. So I mean that's the way it should be, And the fact that you're a musician yourself really helps, for you to come from that perspective to really to make it so it's friendly for musicians and bands.
Yeah, I think I started out as a beta user before I began working for the company, and I just gave them a ton of feedback. So I've helped shape it so that it really meets the needs of various styles of artists. So one really cool feature that we have that I have not seen anywhere else is that you can create multiple playlists in your back end. So if you're playing a long gig, you could say, oh, I'm going to give people the long gig options. But if you're playing a shorter gig, you could say, hey, I'm going to give them less options. And you can create this like variable setting for yourself that's totally versatile and allows you to create the experience that you want to present that's the most comfortable for you. Because I know if you're playing a 3-hour gig, or at least when I'm playing a 3-hour gig, I'm comfortable with taking as many requests as people want. If I'm doing a 1-hour gig, I might want to have a little bit more of a flow to it. And it just allows people to really get in there and have exactly what they want. If it's okay, I'd love to share some material.
Yeah, absolutely. Please do.
Awesome.
Here we go.
Cool. So right here we have our sales deck for artists, just talking about what we do. So, like I mentioned, you keep 100% of your earned tips. You can accept requests live at the show or in advance of the show as an effort to promote it with your cashless and contactless interaction to receive tips and requests digitally. You can also fundraise for organizations and limit songs to your catalog. And you also get to keep the emails of everybody who you get a vote from or a request from or a tip from. So this is a great way to build your email list. Here's an example of some people using it where they've got a good QR presence. This here talks a little bit about, we worked with a big band called Humphreys McGee that used it to raise over $6,000 by accepting an encore request for charity.
Right.
Oops, I did not mean to click out of that. But right here, this here shows what happens if you have you can limit and say, I'm only taking 1 request tonight versus saying I'll take as many as you want to throw at me. So here you see they say boost. So you're boosting one to the top place, and this is just requests. Either way, they get an interaction where they get thanked for tipping, and then you get to keep their email. Here's some examples. That's an example of a charity pick where you got to pick someone's last song of the night. This is a really cool function called Battle Royale. And basically what it allows is that you can present your audience with 2 song options that they can pick between. So basically it integrates the photos and information from Spotify directly into people's phones, but it can also be displayed on TVs at the venue that you can take over with a simple click of a button. And then it'll show a live countdown, who's tipping more. And at the end of that 5 minutes or whatnot, then you would play the next song and it would charge the people who got their song picked. The people who do not get their song picked do not get charged unless you want to arrange it for a charity mode, in which case everyone gets charged. The thought being there that you're going to be raising money for charity.
That's so cool. And I know I've told you this before, but the bar environment, there's games. There's video games, a pool table maybe, some other kinds of games that people can play in a bar just to keep people there and engaged and spending money, buying drinks, buying food, whatever it is. And the fact that you have something like this that is so interactive is really, really helpful for the band, especially if the band is playing in a club where people might leave and go somewhere else. You want people to go to that club or bar or wherever it is that you're playing and stay there and give them stuff to do. You give them stuff to do, they're going to have more fun. And people plan on spending money when they go out to bars and clubs. They plan on buying drinks. So that's kind of in their budget anyway to tip the band. But if they get to do stuff that's fun for them, then they're much more likely to spend some money.
I agree, and you hit the nail on the head there with saying that they'll stay there longer because they want to stay there and like have their request get played, and then they want to play again and again. And it's a fun, interactive way to engage with your audience and then receive more money. And like I said, people are going to be able to do this, and then you'll have their emails and say, hey, next time I'm at that same venue, hit up those same folks and say, hey, you tipped last time, don't miss this next show. So it really is a great way for you to build your following and like get repeat customers ideally.
Right. So I don't know if you mentioned it already, but you said you can collect emails with this, correct?
Yes. Yeah. So you can do an email export per venue, so that you can categorize it by region. So like, say if you were on tour, you could separate all the emails into which club you were at or which city you were at, and then you'd be able to have all that information when you go to hit people for your Kickstarter, album pre-sale, or album pre-orders, etc.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and another one of the benefits, and I think I told you that too, was that you can make separate playlists based on, whatever gig you're playing. And in my case, when I'm playing frequently, I generally play with different players from night to night or different singers. And I generally base the set list that we're going to use off of who's singing. So being able to set up different playlists on my Juke app on my Juke account is really, really beneficial because I don't have to, at first I was just using one playlist and then people would make a request. I'm like, we can't do that because that singer isn't here. So I can set it up for whatever singer's there. And sometimes I don't find out until the last minute which singer is going to be there. So having them all set up right ahead of time is really very helpful.
Like build them all ahead of time. Even each one can have all its standard minimums, and you can even for each gig you can change what your quick pay presets are. So it typically asks the audience that's scanning one of three prices, so 5, 10, 20, 10, 20, 50, or 50 or 20, 50, 100. But now you can customize it to any numbers that you want, and you can also bump it for certain types of gigs. If you're playing like a gig where you think people are going to tip more, you can always bump it up, and then whatever the lowest increment of that is, be it 5, 10, or 20, becomes the lowest tip amount you'll accept at that gig. So then you don't have to adjust the minimums on each song for each gig. You can just do a quick pay preset, and it really saves a lot of time. So we've kind of thought through a lot of these things where you're even able to, if you build a Spotify playlist of all the covers and then go to a website and kick out a CSV file, you can just upload that in a single click. So it really takes a lot of work off of the band. We want to keep the bands playing and not busy fiddling with the computer and phone.
Sure.
So it's really about getting them playing and getting them paid. That's why I started working for this company. Is I truly believe this is a great way to make more money and connect with your fans and build your email list. And just anecdotally, I play in an instrumental duo where 60% of the time I gig, I don't have a microphone to tell people that we're accepting requests. But people still scan our thing, even though I'm not telling them to do it, because they want to hear us play some of our songs. So I'm going to give you a little peek at the back end again here. Give me just one moment.
I just want to touch on the CSV thing. A lot of people don't know what that is. It stands for comma separated value. It's a kind of document, and I believe you created in Excel, or there might be some other programs you can do that with. But it's basically what it sounds like. It's just you put the title, artist in, and you separate each one by a comma, and that way the app understands what it is and understands that it's a list. So that's something that just in case people didn't know that.
Yeah, that's really helpful. Thanks for clarifying. And then another thing is it can even it has a handwriting identifier, so you can even do a handwritten list, and it should be able to pull the stuff for you.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You're
That's
really
cool.
trying to make it super easy because I know people have other things to do than that. So I think that's just a great way to keep people moving on it. I'm going to show one thing real quick. So this here would be an example of the back end for my band. So I have, like, for longer sets, I have a master list. And then for our jazz sets where we don't do our full catalog, you can see here that we have songs that still have minimums. You can see all the covers we do. We do lots of, like, grunge and R&B covers, but you can see that I've really changed it so that I have minimums on my most requested songs. And then for my master list, I've got all of our originals in there, which people may have. And then, being able to still have those same minimums. And then I can get information about each of my song requests when I go to the back end here. It just takes a moment to load. And you can see the number of tips you receive per week, total amount of tips per gig, average tip amount per song. So I can see that people tip the most for the Tetris theme. It's just like a cool way of collecting information that you can see what people want to hear, and it can maybe influence the set list that you make or the set list that you build into the system. If I know one song's going to yield a certain amount, then I'm going to put a higher minimum on that song.
Right. Got it. So what happens if somebody requests a song that's not on your list? Are they able to do that and able to still tip you that way?
They're only able to do that if you click a button when creating the gig that says that they can request things that aren't on your list. I personally don't do that because I know about 75 covers, and that usually is enough to make somebody happy. And I'm not a DJ, but
Right.
for people that, like, say you were a DJ and you have a huge catalog and someone requested something that wasn't in there, you may have it. So you have the option to add that. They still have to tip for it, but it does say when you do it, there is no guarantee that they are going to play the song. Like, you are tipping with the risk of them not playing it because you're picking something that's not on the catalog. I personally don't enable it because I don't want it to go there, but you could.
Right. And I mean, people have the option of requesting and or just tipping without requesting. Is that correct?
That is correct. So, like, here, I'm going to go to the Juke front end real quick and just kind of show how this works. So here is the juke.band site, and you can see all of our upcoming gigs that are happening. And so then let's say we were to go to Maura Strepa, who is playing in Nashville. And I can see here's her bio, her Instagram, Facebook, and website information. Here's all the songs that she'll accept as a request. She has a very big catalog. And then I could just send her a tip if I didn't want to make a request.
Okay.
So this is a great way for people who don't use PayPal, Venmo, or have cash on them to tip you. They're now able to do it from a credit card or Apple Pay, Google Pay, or Stripe.
Right. Yeah, I see a lot of bands doing the Venmo thing with the QR code, and that's kind of started coming into fashion around when COVID hit, and everybody was kind of doing live streams from home or from wherever, but just doing live streams on the internet and not playing gigs, and they would put up their Venmo information. And now I see bands with the QR code, and people, I think, especially this year, I've seen it so much more where people are more hip to QR codes now. They understand what they are. They understand how to activate them, and a lot of businesses are using, like, pretty much everywhere I go. I see
everywhere. It's kind of like the new industry standard across the board, and so we don't necessarily discourage the Venmo users, but the thing about what we add that they don't have is the ability to collect those emails. And
right.
then to be able to engage for things that aren't happening in the moment. So, if you see that a band is going to be playing a show coming up, you can make requests ahead of time and have tips on those and know that you're going to get songs played at those shows. Like, it's a great way to promote the show from the artist side, saying, hey, we're going to take 5 requests at this show, get your requests in now, and because we're only taking the top 5 earners. And then it's a great way for you as the audience to engage ahead of time for the show. You can't really do that stuff with Venmo. It would be a little bit clunky and complicated to collect the information. And so I feel like we have a lot of other benefits, namely that the day after a show, we send out an automated thank you email that says, hey, thanks for coming to the show and engaging. Check out all the links that you as the artist would have provided. So Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, website, it'll just link those all, whatever you've provided, in an automated email the next day, and hopefully build your following.
And that's the key for any band to do out there, any musician, band, artist to do out there, is to build your following. It's still a thing. Even before the internet, that was you wanted to build your mailing list and send out postcards and whatnot. But when the internet started, people were collecting emails and sending out newsletters here and there. But now it's more important than ever, especially with Facebook pages. If you have a page for your project, whatever it is, you want to get a lot of people on there. If you have a Facebook group, if you have an email list, all these things are super important for you to help market your band, get yourself out there, and get yourself more gigs. The bigger your following that you can show to venues and stuff, the more likely it is that you're going to get.
It is wild to me, but that is absolutely true. Like, venues do check that stuff.
Sure.
And I've never really understood why, but it is a really important thing. So you got to build it. Like, it's hard to get gigs when you don't have good followings on your pages. Venues tend not to take you super seriously. So it's a great way to show. And then on top of being able to build that social following, it's just a great way for you to be able to make more money. I wanted to show another couple things if I could.
Yeah, absolutely.
So here is like some of our top users that we have here. Oops, wrong one. So this band, Stone Folk, they're up in Michigan. Julia James is a South Bend, Indiana artist, and Rob Reiser is in Nashville. You can see some of their metrics here. Whoops. Like at 8 gigs, they made $1,000. 11 gigs, she made $1,300. At 35 gigs, he almost made $2,200. So you can see average gig earnings, 135, 125. He's doing a little bit less, but at the same time, he's a solo artist, so he's not splitting that with anybody.
Okay.
Here's some more Nashville and Austin artists that we did a case study on. So you can see here 26 gigs, $750, 12 gigs, $750. That's a really nice high average. Southern Angels does really well with it. They're an Austin, Texas, like brother and sister band, and they actually only accept a few requests per show, like 3 or 4. It's only charging the top tippers, but they get so much engagement out of it that the songs boost really high. Sometimes they'll make like $350, $400 at a show. Right. So as you said, with all the distractible things in a bar like games, it's nice to have something that's going to keep the audience engaged with the band in a new way.
Right. And those tip amounts you mentioned are quite often more than you're getting paid for the gig, for the actual venue playing the gig.
Sometimes I've seen at least 10 times where someone out earns their guarantee with tip or request driven tips through you.
Right.
And for me, I love to hear that, because my ultimate mission with this job is to get artists paid. We are not, as you said before I came on, we're not fairly compensated a lot. People still think $100 a gig is a great pay, and they don't want to take into account gas prices, travel time, teardown time, setup time, then that other teardown time, then driving home. And it's like you end up working a 12-hour day sometimes for $100. It's laughable. So if I can help people get more money, I'm all about it.
That's great, man. I'm so excited that you're doing this. And you've come up with a special offer for Cover Band Central members, which I'm really, really excited about. And guys, this is a no-brainer. This is a free service for you to use. And if you start using it, or when you start using it, you're going to make money. You're going to make money. People will see it. And I've used it myself and made a ton of money in extra tips using it. But you're offering CBC members an additional $25 for the first $25 they make. Is that correct? That's
right. So if you sign up for our platform, which is free, you just create an account, and we will give you $25 once you've earned $25 in request-driven tips through the app. I think most people will do that in a single show pretty easily. And basically, that's just our gift to you for trying us out. And we are really grateful to the Cover Band Central community for having us here. So we wanted to give you a special offer. So if anybody wants to check us out, when you go to create your page, just make sure that you type into the field that you heard about us through Cover Band Central. We're offering this to the first 100 people who sign up. So check us out, please.
First 100 people, you go to juke.band to sign up for this. Get it going right now. There's no reason to not do this.
Yeah, if you go to juke.band and hit the little 3 lines in the corner, it'll take you to our sign up page, and you'll be good to go from there. And it takes about maybe 3 minutes, 5 minutes to make an account. And then once you create an account, I've made a bunch of video tutorials that'll be automatically sent to you to show you how to navigate the back end of it, how to create a song list, how to create a gig, which is very similar to creating events in Facebook events or bands in town, where you just have to pick the start date, end date, location, and then it'll show you how to use it in gig mode as well, which is the most important, because you do need to know there's a little bit of a learning curve to just being able to see them come in, but you don't need an app. As I said, you just go to your juke.band account and log in, and you hit the big play button in the back end, and you'll be able to see all your requests and tips coming in, as well as the ability to take song dedications. If someone says, like, I'm dedicating this song to someone, you can see it there and give them a shout out if you turn on that function. We have so many different cool functions like that where it's just totally customizable.
Right. And once you sign up too, as it happened with me, you guys send out emails each day to give you sort of a walkthrough of how to set things up, like do this and then do this, and you guys check in with everybody too to make sure they're doing okay. And
feel like if you have a gig that for some reason doesn't generate any tips or requests, we'll reach out and say, like, what could have gone better with that gig? Is there something that we could be doing that's better? We're really open to people's feedback. We want to make this the best product it can be. So, if people try us out and they have thoughts, I'm totally open to hearing about them. I think what we have is very solid, and I'm super excited to be, offering it to your community members.
Yeah. Thank you very much for that, Eli. And yeah, it is, you guys are very accessible and very open to it. This is something that's constantly developing and improving. I've seen it already with just for over a couple months, the care and time you're putting into it. So, I mean, for everybody, speaking for everybody in the music community, thank you for doing this. Thank you for doing this for us, because it's something that's sorely needed for all of us musicians to help us make some more money and have more fun, and help other people have more fun.
We're happy to do it. I'm really passionate about getting musicians and artists paid properly. It's something that I really have pursued for about 10, 15 years in my own. I throw shows and I love getting people paid. I want to see people get paid the way they should. So this is a great way to build your revenue streams. And as I said before, you can just build your social followings. Everything about it is catered to making things better for artists.
Yeah, very good. Juke.band, everybody, go there. I'm going to wrap this up, Eli, and I'll explain why to you in a minute. But everybody, juke.band, go there, check it out, sign up, get this going right away. Start using it, and if you're one of the first 100 CBC members, you're going to get an extra $25, free money there, people, for the first $25 you make. So, thanks again, Eli, and we'll see y'all soon in CBC.
Yep, cheers.
All right.